Hello and welcome to our on-demand video series focused on INTIENT Platform. Today, we're going to be looking at the INTIENT Patient technology. I'm Nikki Beale and I'm going to be facilitating the conversation between Denise, Alexander and Samuel. Today, the team are going to focus on the hurdles that biopharm companies are facing as they try to connect data and insights across the industry and how our INTIENT Patient technology is helping. We'll also look at how INTIENT's platform enables collaboration, continuity and flow of information across the enterprise to help provide the right data at the right time and to the right team. So now with that, I'd like to hand over to Denise.
Hi, everyone. INTIENT Patient is one suite in our larger INTIENT integrated platform that's powered by Google. The platform currently has 4 suites. We have research that's focused around preclinical development. We have clinical, which is all the tools that you need to take your therapeutic to market, pharmacovigilance, and then patient. INTIENT Patient has 4 modules. Integrated patient care, which I'm not going to drill into because Sam's going to give you a more detailed overview and Alex is going to provide you with a use case. But integrated patient care you can think of as all the tools needed to manage a patient care digitally and remotely. The next module that we have is real-world research outcomes. This enables our clients to leverage multiple data sets to do things like tease out inclusion and exclusion criteria or explore likeness and efficacy to create cohorts as they work towards precision medicine. Then we have precision medicine. This is the module that ties all of our modules together along with the collaboration with ecosystem partners to support complex therapies that require timing and logistics like cell and gene therapy. Then there's patient engagement. This module was our first and it's most heavily adopted. It supports all the services needed to get a patient on therapy and think access and affordability and keep them on therapy with support for care management. And now that you have the overview of our modules, I'm going to hand it off to Sam to drill into integrated patient care.
Great. Hello, everyone. So as we talk about integrated patient care, we are trying to build a technology platform to enable what we see as the next generation of patient-centric care programs. So the way we've split up our technology is into 3 basic steps. Number 1 is how do we get a patient onto a program? What we found from our experience is something that seems as simple as just setting up a device or connecting a patient to a data source in order to start to collect data from some of the newer and novel data sources that we'd like to use can be a complicated process. So we've built a module specifically focused on easily getting a patient onto a program. Once the patient's on a program, we have another set of technology that's focused on actually collecting that data from a patient, monitoring in real time, and normalizing that data into an HL7 FHIR data store in order to effectively use the data. That's paired with a couple of tools to data cleanse and apply some terminology management, especially in the clinical data use case. And finally, once we have that normalized, standardized set of data, there's a whole suite of Google-powered analytics tools with ML and AI capabilities that then we can use to generate insights that will hopefully be able to allow us to continuously improve a program over time based on the outcomes that we are seeing from the data. To make this a little bit more real, Alex is going to walk through a patient journey of what we think this looks like applied to a patient's total care program in something like this. So Alex, take it away.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, so what we wanted to do is show you how this might come to life in a real world use case. And, just to reiterate some of what Sam has said around, why integrated patient care, well, you can show the real world outcomes and prove that you are creating those better patient outcomes. And 2, patients, humans in general, are starting to expect more out of the experience even all the way through to health. And so health providers and pharma are needing to come to the table with more to offer to support the patient through the patient journey. And of course, lastly, capturing that data for R&D purposes is good as well. And so I'm going to take you through this patient journey through 4 key stages. We have the program designed to do onboarding and enrollment, ongoing monitoring, care team coordination and management, and finally working towards personalized medicine using that real world outcomes evidence. And so starts with onboarding and enrollment. We follow our patient Joey, who was recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, a working married father, and is interested in taking a more active role in managing his diabetes and overall health. And he's followed in this journey by his care team. He's got Sarah, his doctor, Claudia, the nurse practitioner at the same at that office that Sarah works, Denise, a local resource at a national pharmacy that has been contracted by the program. So this is his diabetes educator, and Chris, the patient service advocate on the medication manufacturer side. So Joey starts off by visiting his doctor, Sarah, for a follow-up appointment. Sarah, while visiting with Joey, works to understand his disease state and his current practices for monitoring his current therapy. And she decides to prescribe new medication and also refers Joey to a program that's offered by that medication manufacturer that will support his ongoing management and empower him with tools to support the therapy with even a little bit more power. And so Sarah hands it over to Claudia to initiate the enrollment process while Joey is still there during that visit. And Claudia works with Joey to enroll him into the program and gain his consent. And during this time, gains his consent for his data to be used for research purposes on the back end. And so during this time, Claudia asks if Joey would like to add a caregiver to his profile, and he decides to add his wife as she can be that extra nudge for him when he's going a little bit off course. So the next day, Chris, the patient service advocate from the medication manufacturer, contacts Joey for introductions and explains her involvement in Joey's disease management and reviews with him the tools that are available in the package that will be coming in the next few days. And so when she comes in the next day, she sees that Joey is the first person on her list and knows that Joey is the first person to call, completes that call with Joey, and based on the call, toggles a couple components of the program to best fit Joey's patient case. So she completes that call. She's done working with Joey for the day. Joey later that day receives an email with a link for his account creation. He clicks the link to set up his profile. He enters his 2-factor authentication code, creates his passcode, and he's up and running now with a profile. And the first thing that he's prompted to do upon creating his profile is to take a risk assessment survey. And this risk assessment will help his care team to understand how certain patient behaviors might impact his therapy management. So good for the care team to know. The next day, Joey receives his program care package at his doorstep and proceeds to set up and connect the devices with his app. So he's got his blood pressure cuff, his blood glucose monitor, and his connected weight, his connected scale, I'm sorry. And so he completes the setup process, connects each device with the application, confirms that they're all active, and is now set up and ready to continue through his therapy management using the new tools included with the program. So now we'll move on to Joey and his care team monitoring Joey's therapy management. And so Joey's up and running with those tools, and he's gone through multiple cycles of day-to-day therapy leveraging these new tools, right? He can go to his app and see what his morning, midday, and evening routine is and check off that he's completed each of these routines throughout the day. He can come to see how he's tracking towards his goals. In this case, he's tracking well against his 10,000 step goal and has already completed his 10 breathing exercises in the morning, and continues to take his blood pressure, which is in real time synced with his profile and available for all of his care team to view. His care team can remotely monitor his situation through the patient summary dashboards that are integrated with their existing workflows, and are able to get a quick look at Joey's patient state and determine if any intervention is needed. And so Sarah, Claudia, Denise, and Chris are all able to review these dashboards and ensure that no action is needed, which at this time, no action is needed. So Joey, later in the week, walks to his local pharmacy to meet with Denise for his monthly A1C draw. So Denise, at his local pharmacy, he just has to walk a couple blocks. Denise greets Joey and begins to draw his blood for A1C. And Denise then proceeds to speak with Joey regarding his current progress, which she's quickly able to pull up through her patient summary dashboard, and determines that he's doing pretty well. He logs that A1C, and they part ways. But Claudia, the nurse practitioner, receives a notification that Joey has this new A1C result and reviews Joey's progress and determines that although Joey has improved, the results are not quite within the goals that they had hoped for Joey to accomplish. And so actually Claudia receives an intervention alert stating there's a new medication recommended for Joey. Consider adding this second therapy based on the patient current range. And so she coordinates with Sarah, the doctor, in pretty much real time. Sarah reviews the recommendation and decides to prescribe Joey a second therapy. And this is all remotely. Joey has not had to come in, and Joey receives a notification to his mobile app saying that there has been a care plan update. And so he reviews the notification and sees that Sarah has prescribed him metformin and orders the medication directly through his mobile app. He can see these changes reflected on his home screen, and he can see how he's progressing, and fills this prescription and continues to manage his therapy day to day using these new tools, and continuously improves with intervention from his care team. And so after all this time, after Joey has continued this program, he is continuously feeding the system with data, which can then be utilized by researchers to improve his situation. Which in the case of Chris, the patient service advocate, she decides to review the patient population for the program and for her patients that she is concerned with, to look for opportunities to tweak standard operating procedures or thresholds for interventions to kind of continuously improve the way the program is being run and do her part to make interventions where needed. And Javier is a researcher on the clinical development side for the medication manufacturer. He reviews activity and program data for patients that have consented to share, Joey is one of them, to determine opportunity for creating new cohorts from which studies can be conducted. He sees that Joey and other patients are on dual therapies and decides to look into this further. Javier, comes into the cohort tool to add certain attributes and look further into patients on dual therapies, and determines that there might indeed be something meaningful to look into here. And so he kicks off research efforts with his research team, and they deep dive for months into patient data, starting to uncover material findings, leveraging the INTIENT tools that they have available to them, and eventually coming to conclusions that should improve outcomes for patients like Joey, and eventually work that into the next generation therapy by the medication manufacturer. And so this completes our use case example, but you can hopefully get a taste of the power of the patient suite. And so now I'd like to come back to you guys for any questions that you might have.
Brilliant, thank you. Thank you so much to all three of you. A really good, interesting presentation, and that use case that you just talked us through, Alex, was very, very interesting. Thank you. So, Alex said, quite rightly, we have some questions. Given that this is one of our on-demand webinars, we have gathered together some of the questions that our clients have previously asked us, and I wanted to put them to the team. So, first question. Is INTIENT a fit solution for use cases which involve large care teams? So including caregivers, clinicians, medication manufacturers, nurses on calls, and others. How is this circumstance supported?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, and I think I'll take this one. So as you can see in the example, the patient journey example that we just presented, the INTIENT is designed to handle large care teams, and the idea is that this is a framework that can be applied to various use cases. And in the use case that we just showed, there are disparate members of the care team, which are all operating on a common ledger to be able to collaborate and make those therapy adjustments faster. But that is kind of one of the core solutions behind the framework. And so it can be adapted to slimmer or more robust care teams accordingly.
Brilliant, excellent, thank you, thank you. Okay, so another question for you. How integrated with the ecosystem is the platform? For example, how is patient integrated with health data through sources like any monitors supported, anything like that?
I could take this one. Yeah, so INTIENT Patient has a data acquisition strategy and a solution. And within that data acquisition strategy, we have what we call the data fabric, which allows us to take in multiple data sources real time. And one of the components of that is called a mobile device framework. And that mobile device framework set of APIs that allow us to connect to just about any mobile device real time. And that was kind of what we were showcasing in the Joey use case.
Brilliant. Okay, that must be a huge benefit for our platform as well. That's awesome. So another question for you all. Can you give an example of a recent client implementation?
Sure. So I think recently one of the more interesting of the implementations that we've done is actually applying this concept of patient-centric care to a clinical trial. So a hot topic in our current climate is all around how do we support patients remotely through a combination of devices and telehealth, which has become especially important in the clinical trial space. And we're looking to use a lot of the concepts from our patient modules to actually facilitate that. The thought being that as we're engaging with a patient remotely, the same principles apply of how a patient reacts the best, how you keep them on protocol, the use of device data. We think it's very applicable. So recently we did a 12-month respiratory study specifically focusing on enabling patients with connected inhalers, a mobile spirometer, activity monitors, as well as direct data collection out of an EMR system to really start to figure out what does this look like in a real world setting, and how do we go deploy to hundreds of patients and then manage that adherence to treatment plans and protocols in the real world. So fascinating study with lots of great results, all using the INTIENT Patient technology.
Thanks again for spending time with Denise, Alexander, Samuel and myself today. We've included details of how you can connect with us and learn more about how we're helping other clients discover insights that can lead to better patient outcomes faster than ever before